time you've seen the flights, right?
Yeah, literally. Just bored them.
Awesome.
Here's Matt.
So welcome to episode 43 of Stories from a Bar. I, of course, am your host, Chris Osborne, and for this episode, I'm hanging out with more people than I originally thought here at Mixed Breed Brewing. So I only have Guy Bucey's name down. Josh, what was your last name?
Josh Matot.
Josh Matot and
Matt Mead.
Matt Mead. That easy. It's like a superhero name, Matt Mead.
Yes.
Easy to remember.
I like it. I like this guy.
Yes. Brand spanking new brewery, Mixed Breed Brewing right here in Guilderland. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out.
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is, right off the bat, first off, I have to ask, what's it like being related to Gary Bucey?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. That's what I figured. I ask that because every time I tell someone my name, I always get 50, there's 60-40 chance. Are you related to Ozzy?
Yeah, right.
Like, I probably wouldn't be here if I was.
Yeah.
I'd be out on the West Coast doing something, trying to do something music related or
Yes, right.
getting paid for as little as possible.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys, for hanging out. We've got a smattering of beers here I'm looking forward to trying and talking about. And a lot of stuff, a lot of great things to talk about. First off, I'm super excited. Like I said, first on-location episode I've done since November.
Oh, nice.
So I'm half vaccinated. I'm looking forward to getting my second shot. But you guys are not open to the public yet, so I'm not worried about crowds.
Yes,
This is the kind of special VIP treatment I feel like I need everywhere I go. This is fantastic. Why don't we start with first sample here and talk about what we have going? I say let's start with the cream ale.
Yeah, definitely start with the cream ale. We've got a cream ale stout and then two IPAs. One's a New England IPA and one's our double IPA, Boomski that we call it. But our cream ale is pretty funny. My brewing background comes from more English styles 15 years ago, where Belgian style beers, English style beers were kind of the craft beer, Dogfish. You know, those were kind of like the only like real breweries up and coming during that time. And a friend of ours asked us to make a cream ale, and that's literally what I did one night. Is just kind of came up with a concoction for a recipe, etc., and created a cream ale. Everybody, like all our craft beer fans, were like, "What the heck are you guys making a cream ale for? Isn't that like a Jenny cream ale or something crazy?" And we were like, "We made it, and everybody has loved it ever since." So it's kind of, we consider it kind of like our entry level into craft beer. So if you're not really into craft beer, or you don't know too much about it, but you drink Bud Light and all those type of things, here's like one to kind of like start you into the craft beer side of things.
Yeah, that's quite good. And like I mentioned as you were pouring it, like there's not a lot of cream ales around.
Yeah.
I know Real McCoy has a good one. And outside of that, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably have like 2,000 different beers on Untapped plugged in,
Yep.
and I probably have 3 cream ales. You know, it's not a very deep.
No,
list.
and it's funny because people get excited when they see one, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
At least talking to the guys at Real McCoy, like people can't believe we have a cream ale, and
Yeah.
it goes quick.
Yeah, and it's cool for us. Like, we've done a bunch of different things with it. So this is kind of everything we've brewed to this point is our baseline for starting off. So if you come to the grand opening, or at the grand opening, or you come through and you get our to-go cans for our first round, this is basically our baseline for everything. So we've obviously moved from our 1 BBL system to our 5 BBL system. So we're scaling all of our beers up to get to that size, and figuring out our water profiles at the new location, those type of things. So it's a really good understanding of where we're going to go from here. But our cream ale is really cool. We mix it with fruits. We mix it with all different types of things. We want to like dry hop it here soon and do some like really cool things with it. So it'll be neat.
Nice. This is actually the first time I've been in a brewery since it's before one's opened.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to, I will of course try to coincide this with the grand opening, which is the 16th or 17th?
17th.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, literally a week from today.
How excited are you guys for that?
Good. Excited, anxious, nervous, exhausted. I think we hit like every feeling you can possibly imagine right now. It's been a heck of a lot of work to get to this point. I mean, we've been planning and doing this for literally a year. I mean, opening a brewery is very interesting. So you have to get your brewer's license, your microbrewer's license. It's not like opening a bar where you get a liquor license, but you can get a temporary license while you're submitting and going through the paperwork to get your liquor license. So ultimately, you can open your bar, start serving to the public. With a brewery, it is totally cart before the horse. So you have to find a location, demo like we did at this location, put an ungodly, effort of our time and energy along with the financial aspect of it, and put everything in place, and then basically send it over and say, please give us a microbrewery license and hope that it happens, right? And while all that's happening, we can't sell anything, we can't brew anything, we can't do anything. So you're really going through for a year, putting all this time and energy into something, hoping that it comes to fruition. So once that finally did kick in, once we got our license that's up on the wall, our big award that's up on the wall, we almost say it's nice and relieving, but at the same time, the support has been unbelievable with the community, and the turnout for the grand opening is unbelievable. So we want to make sure we've got a really, really good product to go behind that.
Have you guys been hearing a lot from other local breweries and stuff like that?
You just about like our opening?
Yeah,
or?
just congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's really cool.
That's
The
one
whole
thing.
community's awesome.
Oh yeah, and that's one thing I learned almost as soon as I started doing the podcast. Everyone starts to know each other. Everyone wants to work with each other, and it's all just a super cool environment.
Yeah, I mean, we did a brewery tour. We went up to Lake George and worked our way back down, and every single brewery we walked into, they're like, let us know if you guys need anything. When you first open up, you're always forgetting something or missing that. They're like, don't hesitate to reach out. We love helping each other out. It was just like, wow, this is really cool.
How'd you guys start getting into brewing beer then and getting interested in craft beer? I believe, you from the military, right?
Yeah, I started brewing when I got back from Iraq my first time. I lived in a townhouse in downtown Albany. The basement was 65 degrees all year long, so it had just perfect fermentation temperatures. And that's what really got me into it. Thought it'd be cool or exciting to brew my own beer and do that, and did the 5-gallon pot on the stove and ice baths in the bathtub, and then chucked it into a plastic bucket in the basement.
What about Matt and Josh?
Yeah, I brewed, probably 2004, 2005, just coming out of college. When I just got into the workforce, I had a lot of free time on my hands. I had no kids, wasn't married, so it was a similar thing. I had a lobster pot I was boiling on the stove. It was a lot of it was the extract and malt, and those systems just come out of the box and go through the whole thing, boil it in a cheesecloth, the whole 9 yards. And I think the last brew I did, my son will be 13 this October. The last brew I did was a week before he was born.
Wow!
And then it was just shut down for the last 11 years, and then I ran into these guys through sports, and kids are friends and in the neighborhood together, and a guy had a sweet system in his basement that we put together, and we just started brewing again. And I just think his personality, day one it looked awesome. A few months later, we're already upgrading the equipment in the basement, and a few months after that, we're ordering this stuff behind us, and here we are. So.
It's funny. I kind of got into podcasting the same way because my friend had one, and then his wife had a baby, so he didn't have time. So I started helping him with all his social media stuff. And then I'm like, I'm just going to do something of my own.
You're at that point.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I'm primarily on the consumption side of things.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So am I.
Originally from the West Coast, Pacific Northwest. So I grew up around the craft beer industry and stuff. We used to do keggers with Weizen and Full Sail Ale and stuff like that, back in the 90s and stuff. So that's kind of what I was used to. And then, I joined the military as well, and I moved out to the West Coast and in the Carolinas, and there was just a dearth of good beer. There's nothing out there, at least where I was stationed. So I was, kind of homesick for it. I would look forward to it every time I went back, on leave and stuff like that. And then I run into these guys when I relocate in New York, and, find out I'm not the only one who I think has good taste in beer, and without being too snobby about it and stuff. But you drink enough, you experience enough, and you kind of figure out what's hype and what's really good and what's artful.
Yeah.
And basically, hooking up with this guy and his laboratory experiment in his basement that puts most startup breweries to shame. It was a strong proof of concept, and kind of just blew us away. And we're like, okay, we are all in from the get-go.
How'd you end up? Well, first, where in Carolinas were you?
I was stationed in Fort Bragg, so that's Fayetteville. That's smack dab in the middle of the state.
All right, I lived in South Carolina for 5
nice.
years.
Yeah.
I'm from here. Lives down there from 15 to 20, and then came back up here.
Got it.
And I've been back up here ever since.
Got it.
But I miss it. I miss Carolina.
Yeah. No, there's great things about it. Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with the Albany Pump Station.
Yep.
C.H. Evans, the brewer from there, moved to South Carolina, is brewing Low Tide Brewing in Charleston, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
St.
Charleston's
Sam.
nice. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was not in Charleston. I was not in Raleigh. I was not in Wilmington. I was not in any place that had a decent scene going on.
But that's interesting. I didn't realize you were from the West Coast. What's it like bringing West Coast experience to the East Coast and working with these guys? Was there like influences you weren't aware of that he brought, or vice versa?
I'll tell you, it's pretty funny because usually I'm from the West Coast too. I was raised in Southern California, but I noticed when I came back to New York the first time, the West Coast kind of has a really big influence on the East Coast, and I noticed a lot of things would start trending on the West Coast, a year or two before, and then they'd finally trickle or make their way to the East Coast.
Oh wow!
But it's actually, I think, kind of different as far as brewing goes. Like, yes, the craft scene kind of blew up out there, but I think there's a lot of new flavors and new types of beer that are coming from this side that are actually influencing and moving their way to the West Coast.
Totally.
So it's a bit of a reverse or a bit of a flip. Obviously, the juicy, hazy New England IPAs, all that type of stuff that everybody talks about, they're starting to push and migrate their way West Coast.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat to see that happen.
Interesting. How'd you guys end up settling on your location here in Guilderland?
Yeah. It had a really good price tag.
honest answer.
Yes.
Hey,
yeah, that's the honest answer.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Here's what we could afford.
Yeah, and we had everything else in place, knew exactly what we wanted to do. Location was the last thing. And when I say location, we wanted to do something in Guilderland. So Guilderland was first and foremost, had to have it, wanted to do it. There isn't a brewery really in this area. We didn't have a lot of watering holes for us to go to. So, that's kind of one of our motivations was to do this because, we wanted to have a brewery in our hometown. So it was really finding a location in Guilderland that we could, number one, afford and that would fit to what we wanted to do. And this just made itself available.
And like I mentioned before we started, I forgot you set up shop just right down from I&I Tattoo.
Yes.
Which I've had Chad on the podcast before he opened this one. Super cool guy. He did the one on my arm, but I have a feeling a lot of long-term bad decisions are going to be made here, being that close to the tattoo shop.
Yeah, you can get your hair done at Ink and Ivy, come here, grab a beer, and then go get a tattoo at I&I.
I think it depends on the order in which you do these things.
Well, I suspect those decisions would start here. Well, maybe the salon, who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
One of the articles I came across as I was looking into the podcast talked about how you guys were trying to streamline stuff as much as possible. Obviously, you have day jobs. This isn't full-time for you, all of you guys yet, right?
No, we all have full-time other jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what kind of automation or streamlining have you been able to incorporate? I laughed when I saw there was something you could possibly even do from your smartphone or something like that.
Yeah, so one of the nice things we did, and honestly, we all come from different industries and backgrounds and stuff like that, but we all have a ton of business experience, which I think allowed us to make some very educated decisions. We weren't scraping every penny we could get together and trying to pinch every penny we possibly could and maybe being penny wise, dollar foolish. We invested in the areas that we knew would take some time off of our hands. For instance, the automation aspect that you talk about, the electronic controls and the control panels for it. So the one that we have, I can literally control it from my phone wherever I am. So
awesome.
Yeah, if we want to brew in the evening one day or something like that, or we did yesterday, where we know we want to start brewing at 6 a.m., but you got to heat up the hot water and you got to get the hot liquor tank going and all those things. I can set my alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning at my house, wake up, hit the button, turn the power onto it, get it heating up while I catch another hour worth of sleep, and don't have to worry about scrambling getting in here to get something going because we fired it up from home, which really helps out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that wish they could do that with their jobs.
That's right.
Automate something and just hit go from bed and go back to bed for a while.
Yeah. And the big thing with us is we knew we're not going to have, a ton of time. This isn't a full-time gig. We don't have the pleasure of being able to be here, the 9 to 5 type of thing or all day, every day in order to get it done. So we didn't want that burden to distract or to take away from the quality of the beer. So putting that automation in there makes our brew day a lot easier because we have to focus on the beer. We don't have a ton of time to take care of other things that would take more time in those aspects. And we didn't want that to kind of distract us from the beer. We want to make sure we're focused on good quality beer.
Absolutely. As I finish up my delicious cream ale here.
We'll swing to the other side. So we went from our lightest offering so far, our cream ale, to our darkest offering, which is our Imperial Stout.
Yeah. Tell me about your Imperial Stout here. Does that look nice and thick and oily as you were pouring it?
Yeah, so it's an Imperial Milk Stout. It's got all the normal flavors and profiles and all those things. Not super light, but also not a soup either. We're kind of right somewhere in the middle. Good aroma, good flavor, crushable.
There's not many crushable Imperial Stouts, but you're going to find this is pretty crushable.
Wow, yeah, this is nice and smooth.
Yeah,
that's tasty. And I'm not even a big stout guy, and that's tasty.
Yeah.
I just noticed the pictures of the construction you have going on the screen up behind you. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, so, we're smart enough. I've missed it so many times doing things in life where, I was like, dang, I wish I would have taken photos and made sure this time around, when we could snap shots, we snap shots. And we'll have that up and running for the grand opening because everybody walks in now and sees, we think it's a pretty nice place. I mean, it took a lot.
It was 3
of
places.
blood, sweat, and tears.
I was just going to say, what kind of shape was this place in when you got it? So it was 3 places you turned into this one
Correct.
large tap room and brewery.
Yep.
And you mentioned you moved the cooler over so you could see all the brewed stuff from the bar, which is cool. One thing I immediately assumed, and I'm of course I suspect most people will, that the name came from a dog. But after I was reading the articles, you talked about it really coming from a mix of your military experience and inspired by Mixed Breed, right?
Yeah. So the dog is one of our my dog Benny, or it's
Is that a picture or an art picture of his actual?
He looks exactly like
okay.
It's a likeness of him.
Yeah,
likeness.
The likeness is there. So
that dog posed a little better.
Yeah, so our Benny Brown ale is named after Benny, which does that.
Nice.
He's obviously a mixed breed, so he's mixed pit bull, mastiff, mixed.
He's got to be huge.
Yeah, he's about 85 pounds now. He's a cool dude. He's a gentle giant.
I have a small Beagle Australian Shepherd mix who I think clocks in at 29 pounds. So.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so between that and then obviously, I like having portions of the military experience in there, but at the same time, you'll never hear us screaming from the rooftop. I don't know, maybe we should. It's not a bad thing, but obviously we're veteran owned. We've been to Iraq and been in combat and all those type of things, and I like being able to have little pieces of that, in my day-to-day life, without just being screaming veteran craziness stuff. So.
Thanks for your service, too, by the way, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was never in the military. My brother's retired Air Force. I have some friends that are retired who did their 4 or 6 years. I lost track. I technically work for the Navy as a government contractor, so...
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
GS?
What was that?
Are you on the GS side, or...?
So have you heard of a place called Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Run by the Department of Energy.
Got it.
Yeah. There for nuclear energy type stuff for the submarines. So that's where I work.
Fun stuff, man.
So it's always funny interacting with sailors because they'll be on site every once in a while. Sometimes and I work next to the person that sells all the ship coins, so I get all these cool ass coins that the crews create,
right.
or at least
Coins,
at least my first chance to buy them. And then sometimes they'll deliver them in person, and they'll be like, "Well, what's a great place to stop for a burger and a beer?" And the guy asked me, I'm like, "You're gonna have to be more specific. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know where they'll be. Just name a town. I'll give you a place of this."
Right.
Was it your time traveling in the service, and you just started visiting different types of bars and breweries that kind of piqued your interest?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can't be in the military and not like to drink beer. They kind of go.
I've gotten that impression.
Yes, right. So there's a lot of that, and then I don't know. We just trying new things. I've always been really big into hobbies and using my hands and crafts and all that stuff. So it's just that's how it went.
I noticed you also referred to the brewing being therapeutic and stuff as you try to kind of get back into civilian type life afterwards. How important was it to not even necessarily brewing, but find something like that to help with any kind of adjustment?
It's huge, right? You got a idle hands type of thing. So you come back, you're trying to adjust and do those type of things. So you want to make sure you're staying occupied in a positive kind of focused way versus staying occupied in kind of a negative way. So latching on to hobbies and different things like that were extremely, extremely important.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like I said, I haven't been in that situation. So when did you guys start thinking about opening your own place?
Go ahead.
Not very long ago.
As soon as it left his mouth.
Now I'm super curious in this setup you had in your basement
Yeah.
and what this looked like.
Kind of.
It was sweet. Smaller version of this. Like everything was stainless, clean. You know, it was. You know, when I walked in there first day, I was like, holy cow! Like I've done some home brewing, but this, you know, I mean, I felt like we were already like ready to go and started selling beers at that point. You know?
Wow.
Like it was intense. But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we were brewing down there. We were brewing a lot. We were brewing every weekend, you know, on Fridays, and then next thing you know, it's like, let's take this up a notch. You know, let's see, we make good beer. Why not go out and sell it? So we started looking into it, and like Guy said, we needed a commercial location. So that was kind of step one to start to kind of, you know, get the items in place in order to get the microbrewery license. And you know, I remember when we were working out at his house, and the real estate agent called and said, "Oh, we got this place in Guilderland Park Plaza," and we're kind of like, I don't know, it's a little out of the way. And then he said the price, and we go, "Yeah, you know what?" We came in here and looked at it, and we're like, it's not going to be that bad. And it was a rough 7 or 8 months of fit up, but you know, we got through it, and we're almost there. We got a week to go.
I mean, how were you guys familiar at all with like construction or anything when you clearly emptied this place out and tore down all kinds of stuff?
Yeah. So my other company is actually a furniture manufacturer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that too.
So, you know, and through renovating and gutting my own homes and all that stuff, like, you know, acquired a pretty decent skill set over the years. And then obviously through my other company and that background, being able to get trades in and electricians and the things that we need in order to get it done. So from a logistical and just project management standpoint, it melded very well. And I think, you know, that's where we're extremely lucky, because a lot of people don't have necessarily that skill set or that ability to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a barrier to entry for a lot of people, because, you know, we were able to save a pretty substantial amount of money by doing a lot of the work ourselves.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And, you know, and for somebody else that doesn't necessarily have that skill set or the ability to do that, like I could see that being something that kind of, you know, stifles the dream or doesn't allow the dream to actually take flight, you know. So we're very lucky. And that's, you know, that's what's cool about having 5 of us. Because with 5 of us, I guarantee you one of us has experienced it before.
I'll give you a 5th glass. I forgot there was 5. I brought some pint glasses, brand spanking new with the new logo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's super cool. But, you know, the other funny thing, too, is, you know, this happened during the middle of COVID. And
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So you want to open a business, but now there's this pandemic going on. Like, how did your plans change?
I mean, you know, I will tell you, like, COVID, this place exists because of COVID.
Oh, wow.
And you know, it's very interesting. And obviously there's plenty of negative, and we hear the negative on the media. And, like, you know, obviously there's super sad things and bad things that have happened because of it. But at the same time, like, you know, it's also allowed this to occur. And not that we would want a pandemic for this to occur, but it allowed everything to slow down a second for us to actually even take a look at something like this and do it. So, you know, even though it's been a pretty rough year, a little over a year now, I mean, there are some positive things that are going to come from it.
Awesome. Why don't you tell me about this third beer we have?
Sure. So this is Endo, which is honestly, like, probably our number one IPA at the moment. So we have 3 IPAs that we're doing. This is 7.5%. Has some bittering hops.
Smells nice. That's for
sure. And we call it Endo because one of our partner's sons actually flipped over his handlebars and broke his arm.
Ooh.
So an Endo is, you know, like a front wheelie on a bike. So in honor of his broken arm this year, we've tagged it. We've named it Endo.
That's a fun story.
Get a beer.
Yes.
Is that all it takes?
Yes.
All it takes,
I've been trying to convince people to name a beer Slap and Tickle. You know, slaps you in the face with the taste, tickles your throat on the way down. No one's taken me up on that offer yet. Come to the bar, order a nice slap and tickle.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, then head on. That's what leads to the tattoo.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so this one's cool. This is kind of like an accumulation of all of our experiments and things like that we've done with IPAs and getting them up and running. So we're very happy with this one.
You remember the first beer you brewed?
Oh, gosh. 15 years ago now.
I can't tell if he's choking or because he laughed.
He's laughing. I want to say, I think it was either a brown or an amber ale, something super simple.
Spinix.
Yeah.
Where Spinix first started. Like,
Yes.
way over here. Like you could only get it in like growlers for a while out of like Oliver's or Westmere. Like, they didn't come in.
You all right there?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
I love that beer. So I think my first was probably Red Ale.
Yeah. I love Newcastle, so mine was probably a brown.
Yeah.
And we're talking extract brewing, so like,
Yeah.
you know, half of the equation's taken care of for you.
So, what's one of your favorite things in the tap room? I'm curious because this is a pretty awesome setup, and like I said, reading about the article, you have it set up so people. It sounds like it's going to be a real beer nerd paradise.
Yeah.
You know, and not just for beer nerds, but the casual drinker can come in and just clearly see all the tanks. You talked about having the stats and stuff up on the screen. So tell me what's behind kind of wanting to teach as well as brew.
Yeah, so I'll say my aspect of it is obviously being a brewer and loving to brew beer and just a beer fan and stuff. There's plenty of places out there where you can go outside and see beautiful scenery and do all those type of things. We wanted to do something where, you know, again, it doesn't matter if you're just getting into the craft beer scene or if you're, you know, crazy hobbyist, you want to come in and geek out on the stuff. Hopefully you come in here and you learn something about beer. Like you walk out learning something about beer and just having a good time and good experience. And that's what we wanted to have when we thought of a tap room and a brewery and those type of things.
Nice. Did I read you're also going to bring in your homebrew equipment to help?
Well,
something like that?
We were going to. We had the homebrew equipment here as reality has kind of kicked in a little bit and understanding the actual timelines that it takes to brew and do those type of things. You know, we were going to use that as kind of like a pilot system, but it's only a half barrel system. So we had a double brew in order to get it into our 1 BBL fermenters. And by chance, somebody came in and gave us an offer on it that we couldn't refuse. So
that didn't take
God
long.
wanted us to sell it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they wanted it out the door. So it's out the door.
I mean, I was going to comment that's going to be cool for people to see where it started and where it's gone to, but I guess that's no longer a valid comment.
Yeah.
It was cool for like 10 days.
We can tell you the story.
We'll show photos of it.
There you go.
And honestly, like we don't have a ton of space. You know, we're not small by any means, but you've got cans, you've got kegs, and you've got CIP carts and canning machines and grain and all that stuff. Like, so we need to be able to have a decent amount of space to put things, and that was just going to sit there and be a relic, and we didn't need it.
Tell me about this. I love that this wall pretty much looks like it's entirely a chalkboard, or you can at least write on it. And you got some awesome diagrams up as well.
Yeah, so it's got a few things. Number one, when we were gutting the place and renovating and kind of going through our plan on what we were going to do, this was just a huge 50-foot wall that we were scratching our heads wondering what the heck are we going to do with this 50-foot long wall here. So I love wainscoting. Wainscoting is a great way of breaking up the space a little bit. And then we talked about doing a mural or something like that and just kind of going through. And ultimately what the wall solidifies or is symbolizing is the two different aspects of craft beer brewing. So you've got the artistic kind of craftsmanship aspect of it, and that's where the mural comes in and the hops and the ingredients that goes into it. And then we have our engineering drawings, which are basically the matter-of-fact engineering, scientific, chemistry aspect of brewing that there is also. So you can be creative and artistic with it, but at the same time, 152 to 154 degrees, extract sugar out of mash, and that's how you create beer. You're not going to, you can't be artistic and bump it up to 210 degrees and hope that you're going to get sugar out of it. Like, that's just not going to happen. So there are some very matter-of-fact aspects of it and some very kind of creative, artistic sides too.
Nice. So what's going on with this last beer here?
So this is our double IPA, 9% double IPA. And we wanted to do something, so we think people kind of get a little too crazy with hop patterns and things like that sometimes. Mm-hmm. And everybody, it's like they throw every hop but the kitchen sink into their beers. So one of the things we want to do is take a step back, and we did this. It's just all post-boil, whirlpool, and that's dry hop, just Citra hops.
That's real nice.
Yeah.
You like that?
I do.
Yeah.
That's good.
And sometimes less is more, right? So like that's what we're trying to do, and a part of
there's nothing overpowering there. But
exactly, yeah. And now you know what Citra hops taste like.
Right.
Who would have thought?
Right?
Well, yeah, but like you said, it's kind of a rare thing that people can actually establish a baseline of like what a hop profile is in like a 9% beer. You know what I mean? It's like, how often do you come across that? So It's like, here it is.
And I've always enjoyed Citra, so Citra hop-based beers automatically catch my attention.
Yeah.
I've never thought I've had the palate to really distinguish between different types of hops. That's why I don't review. That's why I let like brewers and bar people talk about the beer while I just sit there and sip. Like, I like this. This is good. I'll take more.
Thank you.
But in fact, I don't know how long have you guys been back in Guilderland then, or in the local area, just living?
So I've been here. Well, I've worked here. My company's been here for about a decade. Okay. So I've been over here for the last decade, but I moved here about 4 years ago.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I got to the area in 2005.
Oh, all right.
Yep. Yeah, I went to school at University of Albany.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was academically terminated from there.
Sweet.
That's a tough one to do.
It is. You say that, but not really. And I said, and it's funny.
And now you're working on nukes.
Yeah. Now I'm contracted by the Navy to help them learn how to operate submarines.
There you go.
Sure, guys got a good joke about the Navy. Right.
I'm not touching.
He probably has better Marine jokes. Yeah.
I don't have Marine. Oh, that's right. Were both of you in the Marines, or was it
Marines and Army?
Oh, Army. Yeah, my brother was Air Force. Now, yep. Yeah, my brother was Air Force. I technically work for the Navy. My friend is one of my best friends was in the Army. So when the Navy-Army game rolls around every year,
sure,
and he'll post about it, I just chime in and go Navy. And
he gets saying,
just because I can.
Yeah.
I have to support them just by they sign my paycheck.
There you go.
If it wasn't for them, I don't get paid.
There you go.
That's awesome.
But I was going to ask, what are some of your other favorite local places around here then? And it's funny, I popped into Frog Alley in Schenectady because they just came out with the Triple Skull Frog IPA. And I'm a big fan of their Double Skull Frog. I wanted to try the Triple, and I don't drink a lot of triples because I know how boozy they can get.
Yeah.
And it's super nice and smooth. Like, it doesn't have that booze.
Yeah.
It's a nice blend. But, are there other favorite beers that you guys have come across in the area?
Yes.
I'd say Fidens. Like, we love Fidens.
Yep.
I actually got some this morning, first time in
Fidens,
months.
like, the guys live in our neighborhood. Like,
Do they really?
Like, I coached one of the guys' sons last year in baseball, Little League. So, they're, neighborhood guys that, are obviously, killing it right now. Just absolutely knocking it out of the
Do
park.
they have just the way the demand for their beer has blown up is
It's
mind-boggling.
unbelievable. It really is. And to think it's in the warehouse district in South Colony, just on Central Ave there, it's wild.
I've only gotten there twice. Once before they kind of shut down, or at least went to the 1 day a week that they're open, and I got a bunch of crawlers. And then I saw a post this morning as I was out and about that they still had beer left at 9 o'clock.
Which is unbelievable.
Or quarter of 9.
Sold out.
Yeah, because now they're usually sold out because they're only open 1 day a week now.
Well, they got people camping out,
Yeah, people are posting pictures in their camper in the parking lot the night before. I'm like,
wild.
holy shit.
It's absolutely wild.
So, yeah, and I was just thinking, I don't know if you guys are familiar with No Hype Beer Reviews on social media. He reviews a bunch of beers, local and whatnot. His name's Kyle. I've gotten to know him. We were doing a virtual happy hour last night while we were talking about beers. I'm like, I've given up on getting Fidens at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not getting there at 4 a.m. But then I saw that post. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I went over there, only 5 cars there, and I actually got some. So
Wow.
super thrilled.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Warbler is another one that comes to mind.
Oh,
Warbler's great.
I was just...
He does a great job.
I want to go and check them out because their Pilsner is one of my favorite Pilsners I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's on my list of... I've been meaning to shoot them a message and see if...
I'd say Warbler is probably underrated right now. He needs to get on people's radar.
Well, they haven't even been open that long,
Shout
right?
out to
Less than a
Warbler.
year?
Yeah. No, he hasn't. He opened up literally in the middle of the pandemic,
Yeah.
during the absolute worst time. Got his license, everything, and opened up. And he's just been one of those ones where he kind of got it at the absolute worst time. But he has some of the best beer in the area for sure.
Yeah, I definitely. That's my next trip is to get out to Del Mar. I live in Niskayuna, so that's a little bit of a drive.
Okay.
But I've been drinking a lot of Unified Beer Works lately.
Yep.
Yep. I hit them up every time I'm up in Malta.
Yeah.
I do mountain biking up there, so it's like our routine. We ride the trails and then hit the brewery.
Nice. I've got my bike and I haven't used it in a while. I've been meaning to try to get more into
Gotta
it.
do it, man.
In
Weather's
fact, I
getting
think
nice.
they're big bikers too. The owners
Yeah.
are big into
Cool.
mountain
Yeah.
biking. But them and Common Roots are generally two of my go-tos if I'm at a beverage center.
Yeah.
Or actually, their stuff just started popping up at a local one in Schenectady, so that was thrilling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This one's a little out there, but Beer Tree.
Beer Tree, yeah.
They're doing a great
They're
job.
killing it.
They, from the IPAs, the stouts, they do some fruited sours that, they just seem to, whatever they kind of put their hand into, they come out with quality stuff. So we've been drinking a lot of the beer trade. It's been making it to, some of the local distributors, so we've been able to get it.
Nice.
Am I screwing you up by moving the mic? I don't want to.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Luckily, I recently only a couple episodes learned how to actually use my equipment properly so that it records 2 separate tracks.
Nice.
So I won't have to edit mine, but I can adjust volume on the other one without affecting mine, because that's what was really screwing me up when it came to editing.
Yep.
And I got tired of editing. I love doing this, and then I sit down to edit. I'm like,
takes all the joy out of it.
I'm like, fuck. Like, this is going on a lot. This is going on longer than it should.
Yeah.
But
our photographer, she does the same thing. She comes over, she takes photos. She has unbelievable photos for us. Jessie films photography. She's unbelievable. What she talks about editing all the time. She's like,
oh yeah, I love being here, drinking beer, and talking to people. I didn't think about the time I was going to have to spend editing these things afterwards
to make it listenable. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really just me balancing sound levels, taking out ums, and just shortening up any space.
That's so funny.
And I'm still like, son of a bitch. There's every once in a while I get tired and just say F it and post the episode. It's not like anyone comments.
Right. Spielberg's not listening, right?
No, it's like the millions of people out there aren't going to notice. I didn't cut out this So what's in store for the grand opening next week?
Yeah, so grand opening is going to be great. We put out. It's been pretty unbelievable. So we put out the Facebook invite April 17th. Once we got our license figured out, okay. License, we can start brewing. Here's when we'll start having beer ready to go. And we chucked 17th out there as our date. Put the event out on Facebook, and about 700 people responded.
Holy cow.
And, yeah, exactly.
2 days.
Yes, it was 48 hours.
Within 48 hours.
People love craft breweries.
They love craft brewers, and we had honestly didn't anticipate that by any means, right? We knew we'd have some COVID restrictions, stuff like that we had to deal with, but literally we had the same reaction. Holy cow, what are we going to do? So we bounced back and forth. Obviously, we can't have 700 people show up or even half of that show up all at once, right? Because the day we open, the day we're going to close, we're going to get shut down. So we were going back and forth.
One hell of a party.
Yeah, it's a year-long party. But we actually had a few people come in, and they're like, hey, are you guys going to do pre-ticket sales? Those type of things. And we're like, it's not a bad idea. And I'll say it. None of us want to do pre-ticket sales and kind of be that company or be those people, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we had to figure out what we'd be able to do with COVID and all that stuff. So we ended up creating 3 time blocks. And to make sure people who got a ticket are actually going to show up, we charge $20 for a ticket. So you got a little bit of skin in the game. And that $20 for that ticket gets you 2 beers when you get here. So
nice.
To try to help, kind of counterbalance the payment, we did that. But it's going to be a blast. So we got 3 time frames that go through. Everybody's going to come in. We've got 3 incredible food trucks that are coming. Say Cheese, which is a local Guilderland guy that does grilled cheese sandwiches and different sandwiches and tater tots and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of tater tots.
Yeah, we've got Bowl and Basil who's coming that does the fire brick oven pizzas that are just out of this world. And last but not least, we got Buena Comido, which is the taco guy in our area, Guilderland taco guy.
Tots, pizza, and tacos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
Great effing day.
Yeah. Pizza, tots, tacos, beer. It's over.
Spend the next day at home on the couch and in the bathroom.
Yeah, and so we do that anyways.
Right. Welcome to our world.
Yeah. But literally, and the tickets sold out in about 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and the pressure is on. We're going to try to step up to the plate and make some moves and make things happen. And, originally we were 3 to 4 beers we were thinking we'd get on because obviously we want to get open. We've been putting a lot of money out for a really long time. It'll be nice to get some of that back in the doors, but literally worked our butts off for about 3 weeks now. We've got 6 offerings for everybody on the grand opening, and hopefully we've got enough beer to get out there to everybody.
We're really trying to not take the support for granted, and try to give some people some value for what they're giving back to us. We got a recording artist coming out from Nashville who's going to be here all day.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it's going to be great, and it's basically we're going to do everything you could possibly do in an organized fashion at this period in time. You know what I mean? It's like there hasn't been a whole lot of live events, activities for the past, at least a year. We're trying to kick that off. We're trying to bring some momentum, some enthusiasm, some optimism to our friends and neighbors and all the people that supported us.
I lose track of what the rules are because I don't run a business myself, but how many people are you allowed, or percentage-wise is it at the moment?
So we have just under 100. We're 99 is our total capacity we're allowed to have in the tap room.
Okay.
Right now it's 75% of that.
Okay.
But then we've got two 20 by 40 tents going outside.
Oh, all right.
So we'll have seating for about 50 people inside and about 100 people outside.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody's got to be sitting. We'll follow all the rules. We're going to have people checking, making sure people are wearing their masks. We're going to have people checking temperatures as people are coming in and showing, proof of tickets. And outside of the actual event, the other thing is we're going to have, if you're not comfortable showing up yet or being in a crowd and those type of things, or you just weren't able to get a ticket, we're going to have to-go cans for everybody. You can come in, get to-go cans, and get your butt back out and do what you need to do that day.
Nice. And I'm going to do my best to make sure I have this posted the Friday before.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That would be great.
I'm off that Friday, so hopefully I can get that done. But how many taps do you guys have, or will have eventually?
We have 6 right now. We have 8 available. And then, we'll probably have a few. One of the other, with the mixed breed, one of the things that we really like to do, which is funny enough, is we like to mix beers. So although we won't have necessarily dedicated to a tap, mixing our cream ale and our stout together is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like super good. And then we take, we're talking about the cream ale and doing like some funny things or funky things with it. We do like a half shot of nitro cold brew coffee into the cream ale and do a nitro cold brew cream ale. Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Little treats.
So we'll probably, yeah, exactly. We'll have like 8 on tap, but whatever the iterations are of that and, going off of that. So we'll have a decent amount for everybody to try.
Nice. Is there anything in particular you guys are looking forward to brewing that you haven't done yet?
These guys are the inspiration. I just brew.
I really want to do a black lager.
A black lager.
Yes.
Those aren't that common either.
Exactly.
I feel like I've seen one, at least within the last 6 months to a year, someone post about one.
Okay.
But I think that's all I can recall.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's doing it locally. It's just something I can't find, and I'd like to do one eventually.
It's funny. I'm going to go out to my girlfriend and I are going to go out to Middleburg next week and go to Green Wolf Brewing. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
He actually, he stopped by the other day.
Caleb or Justin?
The older gentleman.
Justin.
Yes.
Yeah, the owner and brewer. Caleb's I did a podcast out there with both of them. Caleb's,
cool.
Caleb's the bar manager.
Yeah.
What I loved about that place is they pretty much don't do IPAs.
Really?
Last time I talked to them, they're going to work on like one house IPA.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say they want to go get some beers, but they're not into IPAs, I always recommend Green Wolf.
Yeah.
A little bit of a drive from here because they have an awesome variety if you're looking for stuff that's not IPAs.
Right,
yeah, we got to make our way out there. That'd be nice.
But black lager, that is not, like I said, not and cream ale again are not things you come across.
It's funny too because like I talked to my brothers who are both still out in Portland and stuff, and they've seen everything at this point, and they were telling me like they just had a nitro cream ale for the first time. I'm like, dude, we have thousands of pints of cream ale. And we have a tank of nitrous. I'm like, I got you, man. He's like, you guys got to do it. It's amazing. I'm like, okay, we can do it.
I want nitro the cream ale. I want nitro the stout. Like, I think in the tap room, if we had a nitro offering, we don't see that at a lot of breweries.
Yeah. No.
You get your Guinness on nitro somewhere. Like Left Hand out of Colorado does a lot of nitro beers.
Yeah, that's a name I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if we just have something on tap where you can come in, sit down, and get a nitro cream, nitro stout, a little differentiator, a little something you can sit down and drink and give the people a little something different.
Nice.
I always like nitro beer. I think it.
I don't think I've really had any. Maybe one.
Yeah.
A milk stout, which is generally the common one, right?
Left hand,
yeah,
probably.
One thing I got to ask you in particular: are you a hockey fan at all? Do you watch hockey?
No.
You don't? Because you look like a New York.
I feel like I messed up the segment.
No, because you look like a New York Rangers player named Chris Kreider.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
I feel like, what's screaming?
I know.
No, I'm a big Rangers fan, and that's why I asked.
I'm under 6'4".
No, you just have a resemblance. You remind me of a middle-aged skateboarder, to be fair.
Yes, that's basically what I am.
Nice.
Oh, God. I don't have anything for you. Sorry.
That's all right.
I mean, obviously you work full time and now you're doing this. I mean, do you have something hobbies to help relieve the stress that's not brewing beer or general work?
No.
Or is this
We all have kids. Man.
kids?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, so you don't sleep?
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
We don't sleep. A lot of us are involved in coaching of the children, and we're in baseball, soccer, basketball, golf. So, I mean, that's like when we were talking about COVID kind of presenting an opportunity for us. I mean, we all still had to go to our jobs every day, so that was the free time came from no youth sports. With no youth sports, the amount of time we had on our plates was like ridiculous. Because I mean, I was at the fields, this was field cleanup day. It was 3.5 hours raking, sodding, and then we have a game tomorrow, and so it's all picking up. So you just youth sports side of things.
Interesting.
Admittedly,
my life didn't change much. They tried having me, the group I'm in, work from home, but we can't bring work home. So it was a lot of training or self-improvement classes, things like that. And then I'm trying to go into the office for 20 hours and cram 40 hours worth of stuff into those 20 instead, until they eventually just let our whole group back in. And I mean, fortunately, we're structured in a way that, there's walls, there's separation, we wear masks. So honestly, my life didn't really change that much.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but I mean, what was it like for you guys?
It was, it was wild because, the kids are home. There's no summer camps. I'm working from home. I'm still really busy. I mean, I'm in the financial markets and investments, and, investments were obviously all over the place from the pandemic. And, it's an ebb and flow business, and it was definitely flowing for the last year. And then you got kids at home, and they're, running in and out of the house, jumping in and out of the pool. You got friends running in from the neighborhood. I mean, the biggest thing was I saved myself, 40-minute commute each way, driving downtown Albany and walking into the building. So, and I didn't have to shower or shave as much. So.
One thing that I've really enjoyed is watching people screw up with the Zoom video conferences when something has popped up that they didn't think others could see.
I mean, all of that stuff has just been
it's been
unbelievable. Like the guy, the attorney, obviously, who couldn't get the
catfish.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fantastic. He was
So
using his assistant's or daughter's Zoom profile or something. It's like, look, I'm not a cat. I'm really here.
It's definitely a year or this last year. It was definitely one to remember. I mean,
yeah,
it was wild.
We're getting back to normal though. Matt mentioned the youth sports, so like literally a stone's throw away. If you walk about 100 yards in that direction, you're going to hit the little league fields that all of our kids play ball at.
Oh, yeah.
Matt and the two other co-owners that aren't here today all coach, baseball there. They're going to be there pretty much every day now, until through the winter. Yeah, so I mean, that's just, we've got a baseball team. We've got a mixed breed baseball team. We sponsor a field. It's cool, man. We got kids running. Our kids have been here almost as much as we have. Throughout this whole, setup process. And we got them a little clubhouse next door. There used to be a yoga studio next door. Now it's grain storage and kids clubhouse.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. So
do you guys own most of this plaza then?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Might just take the building down.
We found creative ways to kind of make it happen.
Nice.
Because everyone is, all of my wife's have full-time jobs too. So it's,
yes.
I mean, everyone's very busy all the time, but
they're all
we just make the best of it. And,
They were all here last night putting labels on cans.
Teamwork.
We had like a can labeling party.
Nice.
Shout out to the wives.
There you go. So I think that's a wrap on this episode, gentlemen. I think it was my first live episode or in-person episode since November. I think it was a great success.
This was fun, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
So big thank you, Guy, Josh, Matt.
You got it.
All right. Matt Mead. Easiest one to remember.
The superhero.
The hockey player, the superhero, and the middle-aged skateboarder.
Yeah, there you go. I'll make sure to put that in the description. I went to Mixed Breed Brewing.
That is going to be our next
chatted with the middle-aged skateboarder, hockey player, and the superhero.
I think we just came out with our next can label.
There you go.
Sounds good, man.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out, have some drinks, tell me about the beers and everything you guys have going on. Certainly best of luck to you guys with your grand opening and going forward. People out there can check out Mixed Breed Brewing on all the social medias. Anything in particular you guys want to throw out there for the millions of people that are going to hear this?
No, just thank you for the support thus far. We hope to be able to meet everybody's expectations, exceed them, and come out with some pretty cool stuff.
Like I said, I got the VIP treatment. I'm here before anybody else, so I can justify that these beers are delicious. That's all people listening need to know.
Yes.
All right, you'll find Stories from a Bar on all major podcast platforms: Apple, Google, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, anywhere else that you probably listen to podcasts. If not, let me know, and I can certainly find a way to take care of that. So be sure to subscribe. Even more importantly, leave fantastic reviews and share the hell out of it, people. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.